Hello, YouTube. Welcome to our new podcast. So yeah, we've had this idea of doing a podcast, and we're trying it. Here we are. Yeah, it's exciting. It's a little scary, not gonna lie, but we haven't made content for a while, but we still want to share all of our ideas. Mm-hmm. So that's why we're doing a podcast. Any thoughts?
I have lots of thoughts, but they're like not coming to my brain
I know.
now.
When we were setting up for this, we were so excited, like the last few days and everything, trying to think of how we wanted to approach it. But then, like today, as I was setting up, I was really excited. And then as I was doing the last finishing steps, I got like really lethargic and tired. And I was like, we were talking about bullet points and things we want to talk about in this introduction video. And I was just like, I can't do this. I'm so tired. I couldn't think of anything. My brain was just dead.
And I'm just extremely camera shy, I guess. That's why I've wanted to do something like this before. Just like sharing stuff on YouTube, but I can't by myself. I can't. I've even tried doing it on YouTube and I just look so uncomfortable and so awkward because I don't know what to do with myself in front of the camera. Being with Ryan is a lot more helpful, and I imagine with practice, it'll get better.
Yeah.
But that's why we're doing this together. Part of the reason why we're doing this together.
I find that so funny too. Like, I feel like ever since I was a kid, I was never awkward in front of stages, groups of people, or a camera.
I freeze up in the middle of a conversation sometimes. So
That's funny. So here's our podcast. And like Lillian said, yeah, our main objective is just talk about our ideas. I feel like I have a lot of crazy far out ideas, fantasy, book ideas, storytelling, just things, very animated things. I feel like Lillian has some really good deep thought things, but we both dabble on each other's, but I feel like she definitely specializes more in like some really meaningful stuff, and it's gonna be fun to try and share those ideas, and we'd love to involve you guys, whether it's in the comments. We'll try and include your ideas and whatnot, so please go ahead and feel free to comment on either stuff that we said or ideas that you have. I think that'd be great.
Yeah. We both just like love to think. I think we both spend a lot of time in our heads. Like a long road trip, like we don't need to be entertained. We entertain each other. We entertain ourselves with whatever's going on in our brains. And I think as a creative person or as a thinker, like you really want to get your thoughts and ideas out there. It feels like you get so excited about your thoughts. You want other people to hear them and other people to know. And so we've been trying to think of ways that we can share our ideas more. And, we've tried a couple different things as far as like content creation goes, just because, again, it's a way to share your ideas. And Ryan really likes the creating part of it, like making videos and stuff like that.
Which is funny because I'm not like super good at it. Like I don't do a lot of research. Lillian does a lot of research on everything. I don't. I just go into it, which is funny. But yeah, I think this is a good medium for us on that content creation.
Yeah, and it doesn't. We don't want to be limited to any kind of like certain topic. We tried to do. We have this YouTube channel. We were trying to do just like nerdy stuff where we just do gameplay videos. And we had a few costume videos also. We have our Instagram, which is just costume stuff. Yeah. And it's really hard to just stick with one thing because we love so many things. Yeah. And so we want to keep this broad and just whatever's on our mind, whatever's interesting to us that we want to share with you guys.
Yeah.
So
I feel like that's the main objective. We just want to share our ideas. And we just want to have fun doing it,
Yeah.
Yeah. And I feel like we kind of already briefly touched on the history, how we got into like cosplay and stuff like that. You mentioned our Instagram. And then, just the future of it, kind of whatever comes to our mind.
This is literally just for fun. We don't expect to become like big YouTubers or anything. This is just for us to, we like creating stuff and sharing ideas with people. We loved when we were streaming and doing YouTube videos, we loved the interaction we would get from people.
That was my favorite part, yeah.
Yeah, and at conventions when we were in costume, it's so fun just like talking with other people who have similar interests and stuff. And so like we'd love, like Ryan already said, we'd love as much interaction as you want to give us. yeah. I feel like I was going to say something else, but I forgot what
That's
it was.
okay. No, I love what you said about, like, for me, it's all about the community. I used to stream a little bit live, and I didn't even care if I had, like, 5 viewers. When they were commenting and we were talking, that was my favorite part. Like, I don't care if we get big, I don't care if we stay small, but I just love having that community vibe. I feel like, at least recently nowadays, social media has become a lot more positive than when I was younger. And I love how it's very supportive, especially with podcasts and streaming and things like that. And we still might do a little bit of other things as well, but I feel like this podcast is going to be our huge outlet for our ideas, you know. And there's so many things I've been wanting to talk about, and I just want to, like, talk with people about them, you know, and share ideas and expand upon ideas and stuff. I'm so excited.
I think that's actually what I was going to say. It was just continuing my thought of this is just for fun for us. This is just an outlet for us to share our thoughts, share our ideas, and just have a creative outlet.
Yeah.
So
I'm really excited about, like, superpowers and, like, world building and stuff.
yeah, you'll get quite the variety from us.
Yeah.
I'm sure. I mean, maybe we'll fall into some kind of rhythm where you see, like, oh, they mainly do these kinds of things. Because I think everyone has, you know, parts to them. But
yeah, or we tend to gravitate towards things we do naturally, you know, stuff like that. Like we are big nerds that will probably naturally tend to that stuff, but we definitely want to branch out and try new things.
Yeah.
Yeah, so let us know. This is just the introduction. We'll probably have episode 1 coming out soon. But yeah, let us know things you'd like to see, things you enjoy that we've done before in our previous videos, or things we could improve on, please. Like, we're always helpful for, I want to say, criticism or constructive criticism.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But be nice, please.
It's hard for us to put ourselves out here. Like, some people make it look so natural, but it's honestly pretty terrifying. I know I do okay in crowds and stuff, but it's still scary for me. Just because I put myself out there doesn't mean I'm insensitive or whatnot.
Yeah.
I feel like it's part of the risk at the same time, you know? Like, no
and,
matter... Sorry, I keep interrupting you.
I know it's easy to say things in, like, online that you wouldn't say to someone to their face, or we've maybe come to expect that people on social media are professionals or aren't real people for some reason. But just try and keep in mind that we are real people with feelings. So if you have something to say it nicely, or don't say it at all.
I just thought of something. You were like... You probably say things you wouldn't say to people's faces, which I think is true, unless you are that person. Unless you do just
the person
say things bluntly. I've had a few coworkers who have been like that in the past, where they're just like people who just say it how it is, like really bluntly, and like the first time you meet them, they'll say something, and you're like, all right, like I'm not offended or anything. I'm just kind of like, okay, don't really know how to respond.
Yeah.
That's probably a story for another time, though. But man,
honestly, I think we'll probably just delete any mean comments. So just heads up. Anything that's not nice. But like Ryan said, we'll take constructive criticism. That's fine.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I'm not staying away from all negative comments, because obviously we need something to let us know how to improve.
Yeah, obviously.
Sweet. But we're excited to start this journey with you guys. I'm like super pumped. We got like a list of topics we want to cover, so I'm excited.
We wanted to share a little bit about ourselves also. I imagine a lot of people seeing this probably already know us, but for those who don't, I'm Lillian. This is Ryan.
Yep.
We're married. We've been married for almost 4 years.
Yeah.
We're into all kinds of things, as you've already heard.
Yeah. I feel like, for me, content creation is kind of a new thing, you know?
Yeah.
I feel like growing up, I've always enjoyed video games, but I didn't play them a lot, but I always enjoyed the idea of technology, right? When I was younger, I had a friend that had a projector instead of a TV. I thought it was super cool, having like a little theater room. And I grew up on a pretty small farm, and I say small. Sometimes I mention a farm, and if you're from like a suburb, you would think it's big, but if you're actually a farmer, you'd look at me and laugh. And so I never know how to describe the farm I grew up on. It was a small farm.
Let me give you a visual. I grew up on a small farm. Well, I think we had like 2 or 3 acres. He had 30 acres. So
well, 17 acres usable, 30 total, but half of it was woods, you know. We never touched it.
Still.
Yeah, so growing up I had like some cows and stuff like that. But the main purpose was farm stories later. The main purpose was that I go on tangents, by the way. Careful. I will
There will be all kinds of tangents.
All kinds of tangents. But my main point was growing up, I had a very balanced life of like living outside, enjoying like little video games here and there, little bits of screen time, enjoying the outdoors, hiking, camping. I feel like I have a very, what's it called? Jack of all trades. I have a very jack of all trades experience level in life, except programming. Coding and programming is one thing I don't understand. Everything else I feel like I can dabble in. So I feel like this podcast is perfect for me, but that's kind of my experience. And as we got married and I discovered content creation and Lillian was more familiar with it and we started doing stuff, I fell in love. I loved it. I've always loved the idea of cinematography and videography, and I've always loved content creation.
Yeah. I feel like when I met you, I don't know that you realized how much of a creative person you were.
I don't think I did either. Yeah.
He's like one of the most creative people I know. And it's cool to see, as we've been married, how he's learned to express his creativity. Because generally when you think of a creative person, you think of a very specific type of person. Generally someone who's like a painter or an artist of some kind. And so I think that's why you thought you weren't creative, maybe.
That would make sense, yeah. I never thought about that, like why I never thought I was creative.
Yeah, but you're so creative in so many ways. And I'm excited for you to be able to share your creativity here.
Thanks, babe.
I grew up doing creative stuff all the time. My family, they're all artists. Most of my electives in high school were art classes and stuff. And I've always kind of been, Ryan's the extrovert, I'm the introvert. We both live in our heads, but I feel like it's different, like he mentioned earlier. So I was always, as a kid, just always inside my head. My parents, I think my poor mom, she never knew what was going on in my head, how I was feeling or anything like that, which I think was rough for her when I was a teenager and, you know, growing and learning and stuff. But I think as I've gotten older and moved out and lived on my own and stuff like that, I've learned how to use my voice. And that's been really freeing, just having all of that, because my head's always been chaos, just all kinds of stuff going on inside it. And it's kind of hard when it's trapped in there. And so being able to, you know, vocalize it and, or like put it out on paper, you know, for some people, like that's really freeing. And so that's how I got into content creation, I think. I remember when Pinterest first became a thing, I was amazed. I had an iPod Touch and I didn't have a Pinterest account because I think my parents were wary about us having accounts on things.
I was gonna say that was pretty common back at that era too, like around early middle school for me, like 6th, 7th grade. It was very common that social media was like,
it was kind of
some people
taboo.
Like, yeah, almost taboo. Some people were like open about it, like their parents would let their kids whatever have accounts, but I feel like I was in that category where it's like rather not have an account for this thing.
Yeah.
What is this book of the face? I don't want you on that. So, you know,
Yeah.
It's like, you don't know who you're talking to. There's strangers on there. And I feel like that was a genuine concern back then, you know? I feel like, at least in my perspective.
It's more safe today than it was then.
Yeah, I feel like there's a lot more cybersecurity.
So maybe that's just our skewed perspective. I don't know.
Sorry, I'm laughing at like my impersonation of that persona where it's like, there's strangers out there.
Oh.
I make myself laugh all the time. It's kind of sad. I'll be in the car, like driving to work just by myself, and I'll just start laughing at ideas and thoughts. Anyway, sorry.
Anyway, what was I saying? Oh, so yeah, I did have a Facebook account, but I really only used it for the games. Yeah, there used to be games on Facebook.
I wouldn't expect that from you. Like Pool with Friends or Words with Friends? Or...
No. It was before that. It was like, what was it called? There was like one where you could have cats. It was pretty much you just had a bunch of cats and you could like breed them and name them and feed them and stuff like that. You know, like the virtual pet kind of games.
Huh.
Those are pretty much the only games I played. Like Webkins was my favorite thing.
I remember Webkins. I freaking loved Webkins.
Yeah, so all the virtual pet games on Facebook was really the only reason I was on there. But then my sister got hacked and my parents were like, no more Facebook. And so anyways, Pinterest.
Forgot that's what we were talking about.
Because I didn't have an account on Pinterest, I would just scroll on my iPod Touch and screenshot things that I liked, just pictures, whether that was like like interior design things that I liked or art or whatever it is. So I have all these random screenshots on like my parents' computer from when I would back up my pictures.
Are they still there?
Probably.
It'd be really funny to go through this.
Yeah, it's really weird to go through some of my really old Pinterest pins when I actually did get an account and start using Pinterest. They're very different than what I pin now.
Yeah.
Anyways, I was amazed by Pinterest. It introduced me to the world of blogging and just like sharing your ideas and stuff. Mm-hmm. So for a long time, I wanted to try blogging. And those of you who do know me know that I have done some blogging. I had a blog that I was working on more or less full time like a year or two ago. And that was also around the time I was introduced to the world of business, but that's a whole other topic. I love business and entrepreneurship and stuff like that. And so blogging, that made blogging even more exciting. I got into like the web design part of it and social media and marketing and stuff like that. And so totally just lost my train of thought.
That's totally fine. I feel like that's kind of the time where I think that was right after we got married and you were going through school trying to figure out your major, all that stuff. And so I feel like as we got married and at this point, once we met each other, I feel like we started blending our ideas and stuff. Mm-hmm. A good example is I do not like abstract things, or I used to not like abstract things. So quick example, and I'll talk about this later in another episode. The book Eragon, The Inheritance Cycle by Christopher Paolini. As a kid, I loved that. You know, he has a magic system for wizards, and it's very solid. The rules are very set, and the reader knows those rules. Every now and then, there's a mystical thing, but for the most part, it's a very solid world build. And I loved that, but I used to hate abstract things, where it's like, oh yeah, like something mystical happens, and then in the next episode, he can't do that anymore. And I'm like, why? Why not? Like, there's no rules. There's no structure. But since meeting Lillian, I've really enjoyed that. She introduced me to Studio Ghibli. A little weird at first.
Our very first date, we watched Howl's Moving Castle.
Yeah. And to me, at first, I was like, this is weird. And then you had like that witch lady who's climbing the steps, sweating, and she's like morphing.
Like melting,
kind of getting really disgusting. And I'm like, oh my gosh, what is happening? I do not like this.
I feel like Howl's Moving Castle is one of the most abstract ones also because there's so much that isn't explained.
Yeah, but I learned and loved it. I've learned to love it.
I love abstract things. Anything I can think like deeply about and pick apart and
that doesn't give you a solid
come up
answer.
with my own theories and philosophies and stuff like that. Sometimes it's to my detriment because I try to do that with life. And it's really hard to figure out life. Some things I've been able to learn a lot about and like that's been really cool, but other things I just like think myself to death or think myself into like a depression. But
and I feel like we're both similar in that aspect. Even though I'm a little more extroverted, I feel like we both get in some mental states where we're just in our heads, you know, spiraling down. But I feel like to some extent that happens to everyone. Yeah. But I feel like, at least for me, I feel like it's a pretty good summary of like our journey to this point, you know? And like as we got married and started sharing ideas, I was like, babe, I really want to share these. Super fun. Started YouTubing. It was great.
Well, so big development. We're expecting a baby in the next couple months.
I'm so excited. I'm going to be a dad.
And so that kind of changed our perspective too. We were really into doing costumes and we had our gameplay videos. But then when the idea of having like a family comes in, it's like, okay, how do we morph these things together? And we didn't want to, like, we've seen our own issues with technology use and stuff like that. So we don't want our kids to grow up addicted to technology.
Yeah. And
costumes are kind of hard to do a lot of because they're really expensive to make.
And time consuming. I think expensive is the biggest thing, but time consuming, it just takes a lot of attention and focus.
Yeah. And so we wanted some kind of creative outlet that we could do together because we love working together and bouncing off each other and stuff like that. That didn't take up too much time and wouldn't like pull our family apart. So this is kind of where we've landed.
Yeah. And don't get us wrong. We still want to do like costumes and stuff with our kids. Like, I want to spoil one for you guys. We've already done a Link and Zelda. We'd love to do another rendition of Link and Zelda with our baby as a Korok. I think that'd be so stinking cute.
Yeah, so we're not going to drop those things altogether.
We're not going to get rid of that stuff.
But this is just a much easier way than, like I said, focusing on one thing or, getting too involved in things that we don't want our kids to grow up with. So.
Yeah. And I'm excited. This is going to be super fun.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let us know in the comments, guys. If you have any suggestions or if you're excited about something, please let us know. This is going to be great. And we want to try and do video like this. I know it's a podcast, but it's still a video. I feel like it's just more personable, at least.
Yeah.
And we also might invite friends every now and then. We might play some games with people and whatnot. Like, it's still a content
Expect a
creation.
variety.
Yeah, it's still us. Yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah. And maybe eventually we'll get just the audio onto a podcast platform of some kind. But we're just rolling with it and taking whatever comes. So
Yeah.
we're excited to see what happens.
Taking this outlet. Thanks, guys. I'm excited. I've said that a million times. I can't stop saying it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sweet.
We're done now.
That's it?
Yeah.
All right. Bye.